Hello everybody, if you're a returning subscriber, you may recognise this as one of the pots I got for Christmas this year. I was very spoilt and I got a number of bonsai pots, and looking around in my collection I realised that I didn't really have a tree to suit the pot, but I did have some small trees that I've grown from seed, and maybe I could put together a new project from using some of them in perhaps a small group, not a big forest like the beach, but a small group. So let's go and have a little look over the benches at some of my little trees and see what we got. Okay, so this is just one of the benches. I've got a couple with small trees that I've grown from seed and or cuttings. A bunch of willows here. You hate it when the word escapes you. It'll come back to me. What else have we got here? We have some alder. There's an alder. Some cotoneaster, some pyracantha, just there. A whole bunch of apple trees, taken from my own apple tree, full-size apple tree. They're hardwood cuttings, and what's catching my eye at the moment, these Zelkova seedlings that I've had for a number of years. You can see they've been chopped in a couple of places for taper and shape, and or right at the back. Let's go round. Hold tight everybody. Try not to jostle the camera, make you too seasick. At the back here we have some interesting looking Japanese larch seedlings. I think they're a little too big. I'm going to go with some Zelkova. I think they look really nice in a little stand, a little grove. So I'm going to pick all of these. This section here is all. I'm just going to take one of the taller ones. I've rooted down into the pot tray below, so that'll have to be dealt with. But they're nice healthy trees, so I'll just grab 7 or 8 of these and we'll see where we're going. Okay, so I've chosen 7 of the Zelkova, and I'm not sure if I'm going to use all 7 or if I'm going to use just 5. I'm thinking possibly 5. So a group of 3 on one side of the pot, and then maybe a pair on the other side. Or of course it could be that way around. I think I'm not going to try and squeeze 7 in here. I want a bit more light and airy, so I'm going to go with 5. Looking at these trees, I like those 4 better than this one, and I like this one better than the others. So I'm going to try and squeeze those trees into that pot. If I like pottering around with my trees, and I do, and I really enjoy working on my old trees, but if there's something I really enjoy even more than that, it's starting a new project. Okay, it's not very warm, but it is quite windy today, so I've got a bucket of water here, and I'm just going to, once I've cleaned off the roots of each tree, I'm going to stick them in the bucket of water just to stop the roots drying out, whilst we concentrate on the rest of the operation. I just realised the eagle-eyed amongst you You might have noticed that the next bonsai project I'm going to be tackling next, this fabulous Japanese maple is just bursting into growth, so that's going to be going into a nice pot, along with a few others, and that'll be a video to come out in the next week or so. Anyway, back to the Zelkova. So it's not going to be easy to get these out of the pot. Okay, so because the roots have grown through the pot into the tray below, I'm going to take off most of that before I can even get it. Think about getting it out of the pot. These have been in quite a while. They came out really easily. So let's have a look at what the roots are like. Interesting lump there. Okay, I'm going to have to cut away quite a bit to get it into this, the pot as it stands. So I'm just going to give it a slice whilst the trees are dormant. Don't want to worry too much about refining the roots at this point. Once the trees have been planted as a group for a few years, they will fuse together and become one, and they will be treated as one tree when they come out of the pot to be repotted. I'm really liking that as a front, and yeah, that's looking good. So I think that'll fit in the pot reasonably well once we've got some. Maybe a little more. There are a few chunkier roots there that are just going to stop it from sitting nicely, that I can get rid of. Not a terribly thick piece of wire, but it's root, but it's as sturdy as a thick piece of wire, and it's just stopping the tree from squatting down nicely. Perfect. Okay, pop that in the bucket. That to one side. Tree number 2. Same thing. Cut the roots off the bottom. Oh, my shoulder is much better. I had a cortisone injection. That's just over 2 weeks ago now, and I've got much better range of movement in my arm. And it's a lot less painful, but it's still painful. So bear with me, struggle a little bit. Let's get the weeds out of that. A lot of that white root in there is actually the weed. So a much actually more solid root ball. I'm going to take away that bottom third. Much quicker, much easier. I know I'm not going to need it to get this to sit down in the pot, and it'll make combing out a lot easier. What you got for me there, Cooper? Bit of old stick. Here you go. Doesn't want to be on camera, but he doesn't mind distracting me occasionally. Root on this, it hasn't grown through the bottom of the pot, and this mix is really nice because you can just push it up a bit and it'll crumble and allow you to pull the tree out of the pot. see there's a little birch tree hiding in this one. In fact, there's two little birch trees that are self-seeded in this pot. I'm going to have to get out as well. So, there's a weed that can come out. And there's a little birch tree. And another little birch tree. They'll come out fairly easily. These would have been last year's seedlings. I get little volunteers like that all the time. I wouldn't have so many trees if I didn't have so many volunteers. Alright, so put that in the water. And then we will clear this away so that we can actually put these two into the pot. Okay, so there's the pot. Here's the mix. Start with putting the layer in the bottom. And I'm going to put some controlled release fertilizer in the bottom also, just a small handful. Don't burn the tree's new emerging roots straight away, because it doesn't come out until the weather warms up a bit more, and because it's mostly in the bottom of the pot. The tree's roots won't touch it until they're have got down into the bottom of the pot, by which time they'll be fully recovered from their root growth. Okay, so a bunch of soggy tree roots, and we're just going to start placing them into place. And I'm still liking the 3 and 2 arrangement. That was not going to play ball and stand up straight. Okay, so that's got a really nice root ball, so I'm going to place that roughly there. I'm liking that as a front, and I'm liking that as a front, if only the tree will cooperate and stand up for me, which it doesn't want to do. Let's put some compost on the root, or let's persuade it to stand up. Okay, that's better. So there's my first 2 trees in place. And the second tree on this side. And yeah, I think I'm going to go 3 on this side, 3 on this side, 2 on that side. Now, looking from the front, I don't want any one tree to be directly in front of another. I'm going to pull that one back round a little. This one is slightly shorter, and this is the one with that dodgy root at the back. I'm actually going to take a little bit more off, just there. That's better. Okay, that's sitting quite nicely. That looks like a good front to me. And this tree got a funny little kink just there, but I actually like that kink. I think we need to lose that piece in the centre there, just to emphasise that kink, but I do like it, so I'm thinking that one can go just there. I'm liking that already. That's floating my boat, as it were. Though I might... It actually works slightly better if you twist it that way, I think. Yes. Okay, so let's have a look. Quick 360. Looking quite good, I like to think. The trees are leaning too far back at the moment, but once we get the soil packed in around them, we can straighten that up. So, starting with this one. Okay, no, I'm really pleased with that as a little group. See, this is the front. I can almost imagine a sort of winding path going through the trees. And now that I've got it, I'm thinking I could possibly have squeezed 7 trees in here, but I'm happy with it as it is. Just going to give them a bit of a trim down. Just to give them a bit of a chance, because obviously they've had quite a significant root prune, and there's a couple of areas there where they've got long leggy growths that aren't necessarily young looking. Okay, I think that'll do. Nothing drastic. I always say I think that'll do, and then I do a little bit more. You may have noticed this. It's a thing I do. But yeah, no, I'm really pleased with that. So let's get rid of the turntable, and we'll give them a drink. Okay, there's a bit of a close-up while I'm at it, and we'll just settle this compost around those roots. There it comes, pouring out of the bottom already. A little bit dusty. This compost always is. Once you've washed that through the first couple of times, it isn't really a problem. Branch crossing there, and then crossing there. Okay, so yeah, a new little project. My Zelkova forest and a straight tree. I'm going to put that in the shade house, out of the wind. And let it recover from its root pruning. So it's in there for a couple of weeks, and then hopefully it'll burst into life and be another little tree that we can follow along in a playlist all its own. Shrubby honeysuckle, that's what it is. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Yeah, there's some interesting little trees. I keep telling myself one of these days I'm going to take these up, or some of these up, to the annual plant fair, and then every year the annual plant fair comes around, and I think, do I want to sell my babies yet? And one day I think I'm going to do something with these larch. Yeah, keep an eye open for a video soon on these larch, because they're ready to go, ready to prune them roots and get them into a pot. Keep tuned. Thank you for watching. Please, please, please take care of yourselves.